Hi, I'm Trista Polo.
And I'm Heather Lynn.
And this is
All That Ease. Show 39.
Show 39. Now, I know that we're not making a big deal of numbers, but the fact that this is the last one we're doing before we hit 40, I mean, that's pretty significant.
I know. I really got over that.
Yeah.
By like show 35. And then I said to you today we're going to be recording show 39, and you got all ecstatic about
I was like, what?
I was like, we're not making a big deal about it ananymore.
I know, but we're leaving our 30s. Like,
Yeah.
I did that in real life, IRL, a few years ago, and I have to tell you, it was a big deal then. Kind of a big deal now.
So we just had 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July.
What did you do?
Oh, well.
I'll go first.
Why don't you go first?
Okay. So I went to West Virginia.
Nice.
And saw my girl again, Sonata, and her whole family, and her new baby boy.
You have been wanting to see this child since the moment he came out into the world.
And he's just such a delight.
How old is he?
6 weeks.
Oh, my goodness.
I kept saying, I just can't get over his face.
Yeah.
So adorable.
Yeah.
My daughter loved him.
Oh, great.
The first few times she held him, she was like, I like him, I like him, I like him.
Oh, that's awesome. You never know how a child is going to interact with a new baby.
And then I didn't really know how she'd respond to me holding the baby, and she just always wanted to be the one holding the baby. But she was really good about it.
That's great.
And we were leaving, she wanted to give him extra kisses, like she had to go back to him to kiss
Nice.
him more. And when we got home the next morning, she woke up and she was like playing, whatever, and then she came over to me like, you know, she had this moment of inspiration all of her own. Mommy, do you miss the baby?
Oh, that's
like,
awesome.
I do. Do you? She's like, yes. So cute.
Very cool.
Loved it. So it was wonderful. It's a long trip. It is some beautiful country. I don't know that I'd be doing it if it wasn't for my best friend living out there.
Yeah.
It's like a 10-something hour trip.
Yeah. Although I have to say, my mom's 4.5 hours away. My dad's 12 hours away.
Yeah.
Every year I go to a conference that's 10 hours away.
Yeah.
My husband's family, 9 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
We have pretty far away things
Yeah,
that we do. So I'm kind of surprised that it's not that far. 9 hours.
In your realm of reality, it's not so bad. Well, I did try to tell myself in this trip, because, you know, I went out there in March with my girlfriend, Beth. I tried to remind myself, I used to hike all the way up to Buffalo for school all by myself.
Yeah.
One long trip.
And that's not close.
No, that's like 5.5 hours, 6 hours.
Yeah.
So, and I used to do that with not even thinking about it. But, you know, I didn't have a child in the car either.
That's true. That adds a whole other level.
Whole other element.
So tell me, 4th of July, Independence Day, did you declare your independence from anything?
No.
Awesome.
I saw your Facebook post. But they did have beautiful fireworks. I have to, you know, give a shout out to Charleston, West Virginia, which I don't know that they can get a whole lot of shout outs for much. But the fireworks were spectacular.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And I'm not hating on you, Charleston, West Virginia, but you are a special place. It's one of the top 3 most depressing cities in our country. It doesn't bode well.
We live near Newburgh.
Yeah.
Number 1 place for murders, something like that. So I don't know why you're hating on Charleston. That's all I got to say.
It's a special place. I do have a nice playground down by the river that no one occupies.
Yeah.
Anyways, your 4th, not as exciting.
My 4th of July was planned out to the nines. We were going to the balloon launch for the Dutchess County Chamber. We were going sailing. We were going for fireworks. We were invited to a barbecue. I mean, we just had the whole weekend planned out. It was all good. And then, dum dum dum,
Totally.
Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy. Isn't that a song?
I think so.
Anyway. It was ablaze in my house this weekend. We have this amazing bush. It grows black raspberries. It is taking over the yard. It is Russell's pride and joy. And apparently, at least parts of it are intertwined with some poison bushes. Whether it's poison ivy, Virginia creeper, you pick a combination of both. I don't know, but I'm very allergic. I'm pretty sure I had both because I had a little teeny bubbly thing that grew into my, I mean, can I just tell you? Chicken neck for 3-4 days. I would walk, I could feel my neck going back and forth.
Oh. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at her, and it is just
everywhere.
I mean, the amount of redness around your neck and up your cheek is just...
And this is nothing. My whole neck was swollen. My cheek was swollen. The first time I ever got it, I was a kid, and my grandfather and I weeded our backyard where we were living in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and we burnt the leaves.
Oh, no.
And it turns out that I breathed in the smoke.
That happened to my dad.
So that was awful.
Oh, my God.
And it's been that bad ever since. In fact, everybody says they remember when 9/11 happened, what they were doing. When 9/11 happened, I was in my house in the dark, covered in calamine. My eyes were swollen shut from poison ivy. And the thing was, I hadn't had it that bad at all in the 10 years since. But I take this supplement. I swear by it. It's called OPC, and I've been out of it. And I was taking something with a little less of the ingredient in it. And so I think that I need to stop not taking that, at least in the summertime, if no other time. So I was holed up in my house. I have to say, because it's so many parts of my torso and my arms, I was naked for most of 4th of July weekend. Mm-hmm. I feel like I want to write an open letter of apology to my neighbors, just in case.
Totally.
If you saw me naked, just know that it was better you having to see me naked than me having to wear clothes with that stuff growing on my body. But it is definitely much better than it was. I rested. I watched a lot of movies, sat in ice packs for much of the weekend. Finally started to feel like myself around last night. Yeah.
Just in time for podcasting.
Just in time for podcasting.
You say something really great that I wanted to mention. I made a note of it because I was sharing some of the supplements that we have with Sonata's husband, Damaris, because he was really interested in the prime joint support we have, which Scottie Pippen helped create. It's so important to take a supplement consistently, kind of like your rash, and I was sharing with him how to take the supplement, and even for myself, because I'm more of a wizardry type of person than a warrior, if you've listened to that podcast. And so I'm not really someone who sticks to a routine. I'm not really regimented. I'm not really rigid when it comes to things. And I myself can really fluctuate with how consistently I take something. But, if you're going to use something like prime joint support where you really want your knees to feel better, it's got to be something you do every day so that you really feel that great. And, for myself, like I'm really low in my D and I have high allergies, so OPC would be really important for me, too, to take just consistently. So I think if you're going to spend the money on really amazing supplements, it's only worth it, really, if you take it consistently.
Totally.
Because otherwise, it's just kind of like dropping a pebble into the lake, when in fact you could be like dosing and just really help your system.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to mention, because we're talking about some of the supplements, there's a lot of research online. People can do their own research. We are not guaranteeing any results. We're not giving any medical advice. We're not talking about anything being able to cure or treat any disease.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I had all kinds of time on my hands, and we don't have cable. We haven't had cable for years. Greatest thing we ever did. Although I do the occasional TVGuide.com free episodes once in a while. But this weekend, it's summer, there's nothing on. Are you familiar with Abraham Hicks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, actually, can you tell the audience who she is, actually?
Yeah. So Esther Hicks is a woman who lives in Texas. And she and her husband, Jerry Hicks, have lived there their whole lives. He has since passed away. But she was starting to receive messages and information from someplace else. A divine intelligence, we'll call it. Jerry was really a catalyst in digging out that information. He would ask questions and he would look for the information. And Esther, through 30 or more years of meditation and honing her ability to kind of translate and interpret the information she gets. She kind of talks about it like she's downloading huge files of information, and she has to kind of interpret it and provide it. And now she can do that, be asked a question, be in the position of this entity, which she calls Abraham, and Abraham can answer immediately.
Kind of like channeling.
Yeah, that's what it is. So it's Esther Hicks and Abraham, this entity, which is an infinite intelligence. They are really the original speakers about the law of attraction. In fact, when The Secret came out, everybody's like, it's the biggest secret there ever was. I had The Law of Attraction by Esther Hicks and Abraham on my bookshelf when that came out, and I had had it for years. So they were really the original, in this century, the original speakers of the Law of Attraction. And they do a lot of stuff. They create a lot of events all across the country. They do cruises, and they have a lot of free content. And so yesterday, I was still not well, but I was needing something to do, and I wanted it to be transformational because I declared my own financial independence on Independence Day. I redeclared it. I do that every year. I listened to a playlist. It was like 65 videos. I think I got through 36 of them or so. And at one point, my husband, he was in the room at parts of the listening of it. And he said, wow, that's way beyond woo-woo. So that'll tell you the level it comes to from a person who is a resistant Russell.
Totally.
But it was some really great stuff, and I really enjoyed being immersed in it. I normally don't take the time to do that. I've spoken before how I love to write, and I do a morning pages process. And this morning was the first time I had the ability to write in days, because most of the poison ivy-ish stuff is on my writing arm. And of course, it's exactly at the point that my arm would touch the table when I'm writing. So I haven't been able to write in all this time that I've had all this time to write. I haven't been able to. And this morning, I was so excited. I finally was able to sit down and do a morning pages session. It was the most prolific, the most connected, the most inspired of writing that I have done in a long time. In fact, some things that came out of it, some epiphanies that came out of it are going to help us expand out all that ease conversation in a community ever growing. And I'm so excited about that.
I mean, you walked in and first we had to share our 4th of July stories.
Yep.
And which then included the poison ivy story. And then you're like, okay, but we got to shift gears because I've got something major to tell you.
Yeah.
And I was just buying what you were selling. I loved every iota of it.
Yeah.
Our audience probably have heard of meetup.com.
Mm-hmm.
I stumbled across it about 5 years ago when I was starting my Barefoot Books business. And I was trying to find some entrepreneurial networking direct sellers groups because I joined without a mentor and it was so small, it wasn't really around here yet. And I know with being an entrepreneur, especially a direct seller, a team dynamic is really helpful because it helps you with accountability and being productive and staying motivated. So I had discovered Hudson Valley Direct Seller Professionals meetup group. But that was one of your epiphanies this weekend, was to use Meetup as a place for our audience to meet with us with them, and have a fluid conversation around all the topics we talk about and all the topics there are to talk about.
Absolutely. Because we are not about creating something new. Mm-hmm. We are not about coming from a place where we've been there, we've completed the work, and so here's how we're going to show you the path. We're on the path. Mm-hmm. We're doing the work. We are struggling and stumbling and challenged, and we create epiphanies through our vulnerability, through our willingness to face our fear, and through our own seeking of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And to be able to create a live in-person community where we can take the topics that come up from our own work and our own experiences and turn it into a live discussion with a community of like-minded seekers and like creators and law of attraction lovers and Abraham Hicks listeners and Wayne Dyer followers.
And open-minded skeptics.
And open-minded skeptics.
Yeah, resistant Russells.
That's right. I think they absolutely have a voice in that conversation as well. And so I'm so excited to be able to create a live community. And we've created the Meetup page. We've created our first event. It's going to be the 4th Wednesday in Kingston, New York at your Live with Ease Reiki space, which is such a healing and centered space. Yeah. Such a beautiful spiritual space. Yeah.
Yeah, so they can find us at meetup.com/allthatease. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a monthly meetup, the 4th Wednesday of every month. I've always imagined, not always, the probably past year and a half, I've imagined like a meeting of the minds, like a think tank where we can just throw ideas around and raise universal consciousness.
Absolutely.
And there's so many people on this planet. I always notice this when I go to different holistic health fairs and stuff. Just so many people doing so many different modalities of energy work and just meditation and concepts. There's so much out there for us all to learn from one another. And even if you're beginning on the path and you want to come to absorb, you're going to come and share something that we're all going to learn from. And there's others who've been in this work 20, 30, 40 years. You're going to come with so much knowledge and walk away by learning something.
Absolutely.
So I'm so excited about your epiphany and then the manifestation. Got to take massive action to really start something every month, 4th Wednesday. Come hang out with us. Let's jive together.
And when you know what's really cool about it is that it's going to not just be about the conversations we have on the podcasts, but